There are canyons, they are yawning in the night. They are rank and bitter anger, they are all avoiding light. They are fear and blind suspicion, they are apathy and pride. They are dark and soul foreboding, and their rules so very wide. They are fear and blind suspicion, they are apathy and pride. They are dark and soul foreboding, and their rules so very wide. Let us build a bridge of music, let us cross it with a song. Let us span another canyon, let us ride the very wrong. Oh, and if someone should ask us where we're up and bound today, we will tell them building bridges and be off and on our way. Oh, and if someone should ask us where we're up and bound today, we will tell them building bridges and be off and on our way. We will tell them building bridges and be off and on our way. Thank you, Bill Staines. You're welcome to Bridges Programming. This is Wednesday World Call-In, so you're welcome to call in and give your opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own stupid opinions.
We're definitely giving our opinions.
And our stupid opinions. And the point of our programming here is to try to promote a concept called the HREM, the Human Renewable Energy Measure. And the way we do that is we decided to start a online radio television show. This over here, one of our guests next to me, to my left, is Bucky, which his real name is Buckminster Fuller. Hey, Bucky, say hello to Bucky. Say hello. Hi, Bucky. Are you saying hello to anybody? Can you talk? Hi, guys. How are you? Okay, that's Bucky.
I wonder if he wore a hat like that.
Yeah,
I don't think he was a hat wearer. But
well,
anyway.
He didn't have a mustache. Last week we had with us Tesla, and he had a mustache on.
A different
and this is brought to you by, again, the HREM.org. It's called Bridges Programming. And the HREM stands for Human Renewable Energy Measure. You can see that on your screen.
And if you want to know what that book is,
right? We're going to get to that. And we have with us Bucky. I introduced, and the person on the phone is Dennis Carius. Hello, Dennis.
Hey, hello, Steph. Hey, Susan. Hello, Bucky.
Hi, Dennis.
Bucky's going to say hi to
okay, and you can go on there, Dennis, and watch Bucky talk if you'd like.
Oh, good. I'm doing that right now.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I just had him.
And then next to me is Susan.
Greet you.
And next to me is Susan Comine, and I'm Jeff Beller, and we're here to try to get this ideas out. Bucky Fuller, he's been dead, what? How long you been dead? About 50 years or so, 45, 50 years? Yeah, about that. Anyway, so
wait, we're trying to get an idea out about the value of our common humanity.
Right.
And that it does have a value, and we all have.
Well, let me finish the housekeeping.
Certainly.
Okay,
but you just said what we're trying to get at.
Well, that's the Human Renewable Energy Measure. And then we have another thing called Bridges, well, of course, on Bridges Programming. And then we have a nonprofit, and you can see the book right over here.
Which is posted on that.
And that's a free download, and it's called Illyria's World. It's about climate change, and it's about a robot, a 7-foot-tall robot.
And a little girl who has adventures with this robot in an imagined world that is much more, or maybe not, extreme than what climate change has done so far, but it helps this child to get a grip, so to speak, on her fears and figure out what she can do. As one person, as Bucky was saying, one person, one individual can make a difference to improve things for all of humanity. And she can do that, and anyone can do that if they get their focus arranged so that they're not being pushed around by propaganda, by people that are very fearful and do not see any clear path towards something better, etc. So that's on the site renewtheearth.org, and that's a not-for-profit, and you can go there and
it's a 501c3.
right,
And you can donate if you wanted to donate to that, but that's not a necessary function.
That you can take that book. It's a little ebook, and you can download it from that site. And then there are also letters to children that help to make them comfortable with nature and going out and walking about and with their folks, or when they're older, exploring on their own in their neighborhoods or whatever, in parks, and trying to understand some of the technologies, as you could say, Bucky, the technologies of nature. The closer that the closer we get to them, in terms of how we live, and in terms of efficiencies and imitating these functions of nature in our technologies, the better our options as a human species are for survival on this planet. Nature has been here a long, long time, long before we evolved as humans.
Right.
She's had a great deal of time to work out a lot of problems, and a lot of the things you invented, Mr. Fuller. And welcome to the program. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Here you are, a second time in your resurrected state. I hope that you feel comfortable, and you've lost a lot of weight. But that's okay. You're still thinking, and that's the important thing. But anyways, you used a lot of, you referred to nature over and over again in order to clarify what you were designing, and then work it out in a geometry or a physical way. You used a lot of triangles for your geodesic domes, and you would join them edge to edge.
Yeah, there was a mathematician here yesterday trying to explain it better, but I think he missed the point.
Anyway, we've all probably seen a geodesic dome or heard about that term, and easily look that up, on your internet, get more information about that, and the geometry of it. And you actually created a whole type of a new field for geometry with your studies, and I'm just starting to read that book. That's my light winter reading, but Mr. Fuller, thank you very much. It's another book about 2.5 inches thick, called Synergetics, and a new type of.
I had a lot of pent-up emotions, so I had a lot of writing to do.
Oh, right. That often gets that resolved, right?
Either a psychiatrist or a writer. Either way, we have to get our messages out.
And it's a lot more expensive to have to turn to a psychiatrist.
Yes. And because the economic system is so screwed up, I'd rather go to a plumber. I went to an embalmer, and look what happened to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were just starting the art form of embalming.
Well, we've got a lot more to learn. Pretty soon people will just put all machines, and people live forever and have to not eat anything, and we can just have a whole bunch of robots.
Automatons?
Automatons,
Right.
They call them automatons now.
Now you are in agreement with Nikola Tesla.
Right.
He really liked the idea of
automatons.
Yes. And still they fascinate us, even now.
The robot does great.
But I wonder why that is. Do you think that robots are such a fascination for humans?
I don't know.
They like the idea of a machine acting like a person.
I just got to get the measurement in place. That's all I got to do.
Well,
hello, Dennis. How are you? I haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just looking online at Beth, Susan, and Bucky.
Bucky, I'd like to hear your idea about nature's technology. What do you think about that?
Well, Dennis?
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I'm talking to you.
Bucky's talking to you.
Oh, Buck. Oh, okay, Bucky. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt.
Don't let it happen again.
Okay.
What do you think about nature?
About nature?
Yes.
Well, I think nature has been wonderful, great, and I just think that I would love to stay on this planet if we had no such thing as climate change or global warming. It's just that, unfortunately, I think it's going in a bad direction, and it's only because of one animal on this planet. It's the human being that's causing that.
How do you know that?
There are other destructive elements on this planet. We're not the only one, but right now we seem to dominate the stage.
I want to know how he knows that. Well, Jeff, you mentioned a little while ago that there's something like wrong with this economic system. But if I were one of the richest, like the upper 1% in this country, I would say there's nothing at all wrong with this economic system.
Well, if you want to live your life for money,
How do you know?
Why would you want to spend your precious lifetime living for money?
How does he know that? How do you know?
And having that.
How do you know that there's a climate change problem that we're creating? Maybe it's natural.
Oh, so not a climate change, but that it might be natural.
Yeah.
He just wants you to consider that angle of, you know.
Well, there are real, very smart people, not just bachelor's degrees, but master's degrees.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Yes, okay.
I was thrown out of the best colleges in the country, and I was no degrees. And then once they realized I was smarter than most of the professors, they gave me 27 or 57 different degrees from around the world. But I had no PhD, and they laughed at me.
Okay. I'm not saying that these people are smarter than you, Jeff.
No, we're talking about Bucky.
Bucky's talking.
Bucky said,
Bucky, I'm sorry.
Bucky,
Okay.
I'm Bucky, and Bucky was thrown out of the best colleges, Harvard, Cornell, all these big colleges. And then after I finally proved myself, they gave me the degrees. These guys were pretty stupid. And when I addressed all these professors from around the world, I realized, I said to them, and this is one of my stories, I said, I don't know why I'm addressing you. You guys are pretty stupid.
Well, you were not thrown out of Cornell, as far as I know, but you were thrown out of Harvard twice.
Right.
Right. Because you really just were uncomfortable there, essentially.
Right, they were a bunch of morons. They wanted me to think their way.
Well, they had little clubs and stuff, and they didn't want you in their clubs, and everything was based on income and who your family was. And so you decided to just go and party in New York City with the Rockettes.
Yeah, those beautiful women, right.
And then you took them all out to dinner, and you had a great time.
And I liked to dance.
Right, and so
but I think
you spent all of your college
because
funds.
they had PhDs didn't make them smart. So you can't say because the smart PhD guys are saying we have climate change, you can't say that that's the reason. And I'm not saying I don't agree with you, but you just can't base it on that, can you?
Well, that's a good question. I want to ask you and Bucky, did we get all the truth when we were growing up in grade school and in high school, and the teachers were telling us why we sent our troops across the ocean in World War II and even in World War I? Were we told all the truth, or is it possible that very, very rich people just wanted to stop those people over in Europe from, I won't say communism, I'm going to call it socialism. Maybe they were really trying to control capitalism.
I think they've been brainwashed for all the isms, but I can tell you something that you can prove that's true or not. If a nuclear bomb drops and you get under a wooden desk, you think that's going to save your life?
No, they told me that was false when they told me that. No,
So that's obvious, but the rest of this stuff are just words that give you into a little spot so you can't face the reality of what's going on with our economy. You and I are still killing people every single day of the week the minute we're alive. The minute we go out and buy something, we are letting people starve around the world. One person every 5 seconds is dying from starvation, not because of lack of food, because of lack of distribution of that food. So that's the important thing. Now,
And the emphasis on profit making.
Right. The problem is, the reason why this is happening is because of the way our economic system works. If you listen to your Pope in today's day and age, he's saying the same exact thing. Why are we killing people? And this is why we have to go to a measurement. I call it kilowatt hours, is what I used to call it. But you guys came up with a better one over the years, and you were able to measure the energy units for food and water and shelter, like my geodesic dome.
Well, what do you mean the geodesic? How do you refer that? How do you make that?
It was the most efficient way of keeping housing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So the geodesic dome is an efficient way to make housing.
Right.
And we made portable housing too. I designed portable housing.
Yeah.
I designed cars that hold 25 people that got 25 miles to a gallon.
No, 45.
45,
at
right,
that
right.
time, right.
Well, the measurements weren't probably the same.
Oh, well, okay, maybe not. But interestingly, how your ideas about housing evolved over your lifetime was very interesting because from what I read, you started out when you were younger thinking, when you first come out of your experiences with the Navy and wartime and things that were possible, you thought about digging a foundation for these portable houses that could be flown with a helicopter to the site, but first you drop a bomb
right.
and excavate with the bomb.
That's the most efficient way.
And then you put the building in there and then pour the cement all around. I mean, you were really thinking in pretty dramatic.
Use a bomb to build a building, not to blow things up,
right,
to do something for constructive aims.
We got to resurrect that idea too, or better uses of bombs. Of course, you'd have to clear the area. But,
not necessarily.
It could be a controlled explosion. Now we have controlled demolition.
Using Tesla technology.
That's very accurate. You take buildings out and just one building drops, right?
I want to get back to Dennis's comment. Dennis, you think that there's global warming and we're creating it, right?
Right, I think we are creating it.
Yeah. Not because the geniuses of this world, our so-called geniuses, are telling us that. They are there because we actually feel as though they're creating a problem because of the economy, right? It's the economy that's making these guys try to make more and more money and not protect our environment. Is that not right?
Exactly, right.
So the problem is not the individual or the word greed. The problem is the economic system itself.
Yes. Can I give you an example?
Certainly.
Yeah, because I really think that it has a lot to do with oil under the ground over in the Middle East. And if we can get a good price on that oil, we'll take it out of the ground over there. And, like in Saudi Arabia, which is number 6 on the list of dictatorships in the whole world, they get their weapons from us, we get a good price on oil, okay? But the problem is that we now know that what goes in the atmosphere, what comes out of your exhaust pipe, nobody wants to get behind their car and breathe that in coming out of their exhaust pipe. When that goes in the atmosphere, it stays there. It's now so high in the parts per million of carbon dioxide that it is ruining our planet. And we can really solve it so easily because our troops could come home, like we were told. And if our troops came home right now, 58% of our federal tax dollars, 58% goes to the military.
What does that have to do with the? What does that? If I brought all the troops home and put all the money into solar panels,
right?
What is that going to do? It's not going to change the parts per million, and it's still going to. They're still going to be killing people because the money doesn't mean anything. The reality is the money has no value. It's the people's labor that has value. And the energy enhances the labor. And it's like Tesla said last program, the velocity of people's minds is what accelerates the thinking process and our ability to work together. Now, the question then is, bringing the troops home is not going to matter. Why don't we just leave the troops wherever they are and let them help people around the world building solar panels? How about that for a thought?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm saying that's true. I never pictured our troops being over there helping people put solar panels up.
Right, and make water.
Instead of killing people, then I agree with you.
Right, and make water suppliers and make things that help the people. It wouldn't matter what we spent on our troops then, would it?
Well, no, I mean, I agree with you. I wouldn't call them troops then. I just didn't look at it that way.
Well, why not look at it? Because that way we don't have to get a political problem getting the right people in office to pull the troops home, to make promises we can't keep. Let's just use the troops to help people. Why not have a child be born and immediately they have all their basic needs met around the world, and all the armies go to help the people around their community. They have a very good piece of life. So all humanity can play music, and they can listen to listen to good sounds.
Gain knowledge.
Yes, and teach friends and relatives and clean up the woods and make sure we don't pollute the earth. That's the job of our service people. What do you think?
Well,
I think that's a good idea, Bucky. I think that's
just that our troops are not sent overseas to do that. Yes, if you can switch over from going over there into war and over there to help people put solar panels up, I agree 100%. But that's not what our troops are doing or what they're taught to do. Do you know how high the rate of suicide is with our troops when they come home to this country?
Actually, the reason for that is because it's mixed emotions. They have cognitive dissonance because they're killing people. But if they didn't kill people, you wouldn't have a suicide rate, would you?
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. They come home after 4 years in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force. They come home to their family and they go to church and they can't believe it. And they're sitting there, love thy neighbor, thou shalt not kill. And they say, oh my God, what did I do over there? They told me, go in there. Don't just kill men and the women, even the children. Whoever's in that house, kill them. I can't believe I did that.
That's why this has to be changed. That's why we have to think of a better way to
run the economy
and to organize the dynamic that everyone is living under on this planet right now, as far as humans living. The way that we interact with each other has a flawed premise, which is that might is right, profit is the best thing that you can think about, for your whole life. Why can't there be a human service?
Right.
Yeah, there you go. You got excited and your hat came down.
Right, I blow my top.
And I'll quote from something that you wrote about this, Bucky.
I like my own quotes. Go ahead.
I had a quote. I had a rich inventory of experience. That experience made clear to me that there were critical problems to be solved regarding total humanity aboard planet Earth. Total humanity aboard planet Earth. Problems that would take at least a half century to cope with successfully. Problems as yet unattended by anyone. Problems that, if successfully solved, would bring lasting advantage to all humanity. Problems that, if left unsolved, would find all humanity at ever increasing disadvantage. It was not that the problems could not be seen by others, but society was preoccupied with individual, national, state, and local business survival problems, which forced
making money.
which forced its leaders into short-term, limited scope considerations with no time for total world problems. The presidents of great corporations had to make good profits within a few years or lose their jobs. Politicians, too, preoccupied with short-range national, state, or municipal survival matters. It seemed clear to me that there had opened up a new avenue of approach to humanity's survival problems, an avenue that could be traversed only by an individual operating entirely on the individual's own economic and philosophic initiative. Now, here you go on to say, and I know this is this is very impressive, I feel, quote, all the world was preoccupied with intercompetitive survival, being spontaneously motivated by the working assumption of the existence of a fundamental inadequacy of life support on our planet. The leading ideology said, quote, you may not like our system, but we are convinced that we are coping most wisely, justly, and practically with fundamental inadequacy of life support. We are the fittest to survive, unquote. What my experience taught me was that the physical laws thus far found by science to be governing universe were intelligently and fearlessly employed in the production of ever higher performances for each pound of material, erg of energy, and second of time invested. It would be feasible to take care of all humanity at higher standards of living than had ever been known by any humans, and to do so sustainingly. Evolution seemed to be operating in such a manner as to drive humans to inadvertent accomplishment of their own success. And I think that that's a wonderful irony that you end with there, that we're actually being pushed inadvertently, even though our goals are profit and war making and might, is right, and politics, the power, people want power, etc. Even though we seem to be using those as our guiding lights, we are still creating technology that has an even more profound implications.
Right.
And it can be used to the benefit of humanity.
The only thing different is that we're in competition instead of in cooperation.
Right. We need to be in cooperation as a
If we can get into
right.
if we can get into cooperation worldwide rather than in competition and get profit out of the game, the whole world will benefit. And then we can decide, because of education, if we are, in fact, as Dennis said, messing up our spaceship survival system, our planet. In fact, are we overpopulated? We can let people make their own decision, individual decision, not top down, but individuals using their own minds to decide what and when they want to do something. What's wrong with that concept? Dennis, what do you think's wrong with that idea?
Well, that's interesting. I think there's nothing wrong with 99.9% of us. We're not ruining this planet.
That's not true. That's not true. Not true. Not true. We're part of it. Whoa, 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 whoa. You are saying you are part of the problem. We are all part of the problem. We're allowing this economic system to continue on. You think the 1%'s the problem, but no, it's all of us, because we are working with that 1% within the world economic system.
Right. We're all participating in this.
You gotta take the rap. You've got to face facts that you are killing somebody as well as I am. We're all killing people while we're alive. Well, I'm not, because I'm dead, but you guys are killing people.
Your Honor, I object.
You can object all you want. If you're guilty, you're guilty.
I object, Your Honor. No, listen, let me just mention what I was just getting at, because just imagine it's that upper 0.1%, we're, let's say, controlling how we're voting. When you go in to vote, and you want to vote for the best person there, but whoever's programming that scanner could make it so that it's not going to go to, let's say, to that Democrat. It's going to go to the Republican.
Let me ask you a question. Who's controlling? How do you know who to vote for? Supposing you want to vote for Bernie Sanders. Well, maybe Bernie Sanders is not as good as Hillary Clinton. Maybe Hillary Clinton's not as good as Donald Trump. I was told the other day by a friend of mine, they say Donald Trump is a good businessman, so he should run the country. What do you think about that?
I think we should get the best person to be our next president.
Well, who's going to be the best? Is it going to be Donald Trump?
I would even elect the Pope, yeah.
But you don't have a choice. See, that's the trouble. The economic system is controlling who you're voting for. And that's the problem. You've got to fix the economic system. Doesn't matter how much money or who's running for office or how the voting machines work. It doesn't matter. The economic system controls all of those.
But let me ask you, Jeff, if they get control of our ballot system, of the way we're voting and who wins, imagine if it used to be the left versus the right in this country. Imagine if it was...
Dennis, you're being brainwashed. You're being brainwashed by the entire mainstream media, which you think is wrong. It does. You're in a cul-de-sac. You're not paying attention to the real problem. The problem is the economic system, not the voting system. That's controlled by the economic system, not the media, which is controlled by the economic system. Not Russia or Canada or China. That's controlled by the economic system. Don't you understand? It's all about money. It's about the economics. You've got to change the economics to base itself on humanity.
I agree, but when you say that it's not about this, it's about that, if it does become based on the economic system, then it's also going to change our government too.
Only if you change the economic system will you change the government. You have a dysfunctional economic system that basically represents the top money people on the, let's say, 1% or 1/10 of 1%, who's controlling the rest of the population. Until you actually change the way the money system works, the economic, based on years of age, years of life, based on nature.
There's an interesting piece here where you mention one of the things that, one of your guiding tenets, Bucky, where you said whatever was to be accomplished for anyone must never be at the cost of another.
Right, that's the problem.
Yeah, right now, whatever's being accomplished is at a great cost to many people.
Right, there's many people getting killed, that's what I was saying.
Suffering.
There's many people
having
suffering,
to leave their countries,
dying. How many people leaving Syria right now?
Right,
how many
refugees, and now, which is predictable, there are desperate people in every country that these refugees are going through. And so they're robbing them and tricking them, and the people are dying from, the desire of other people, to survive, in horrendous ways by taking advantage of the vulnerability of these refugees. We're hearing horrible things happening now, along with all the other tragedies of people drowning and starving. This is I actually got hold of I think it was Time magazine recently, and they insist on calling the people that are leaving Syria migrants, and this is a mislabeling of them. They're not migrating willingly.
Right.
They don't want to leave their countries. Can you imagine what would have to happen for you to leave your home and your town and your relatives and everything what would have to happen for that to occur? And that's happened to these people. They have to leave because they feel their lives and the lives of their children are threatened. you see the groups. They are full of children, people carrying their young babies.
Let's ask that, Dennis. Let me ask you a question.
These are refugees.
What would make you?
Refugees.
What would make you
They're
leave?
desperate.
What would make you and your wife leave your area because you felt?
What kind of pressure?
What kind of pressure would it take to make you leave your area?
What kind of pressure?
What kind of a situation would make you leave your country, your home, and seek shelter in another country?
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Supposing they were bombing your block. You just had drones dropping drones. Every couple of hours, there'd be a bomb hitting your block. Would you leave your house immediately because they're dropping bombs on it and go to the block?
Yes, I would use the term immediately, yes.
Okay. Now, supposing you moved to let's supposing you lived on one block and the next block wasn't being bombed. You'd really try to get to the other block. You'd go to the next block, right?
Right.
But suppose they were started to bomb that block and then maybe they bombed the town. Would you try to get out of that town?
Yes.
And then you'd go to the next town, supposing they started bombing the whole city. You pick up. So that's what's happening all around the world because of our economic system. That's what's happening. So we can't allow, and that's what Bucky I think is saying. We cannot allow the world to continue to do this. It's not just the Second World War, or the First World War, the esoteric getting out of the planet or global warming. It's not that. The reality is that you can see that in Syria, there's millions of people leaving the area to get to a different place because they're bombing people around the world to control the economic structure, to control the oil, uranium, copper, all the natural resources.
And I think there's on top of that, a good cop, bad cop thing going on between the U.S. and Russia. Putin is saying, "Oh, I'm going to support Assad," and we're saying, "Oh, we're supporting the rebels, whoever they are." And they're playing this back and forth between them, so that it's extremely confusing situation. It's meant to be that way. Right. And both these countries, and it won't be the United States citizens, and it won't be the Russian citizens. It'll be the communist elites of both countries. They will be the profiteers. They will be the ones that profit from this. And they're playing, as I said, a good cop, bad cop routine. Putin's taking the bad cop, because we like to be the ones with the white hats, right? And he doesn't mind wearing the black hat.
Right.
And so
I have a lot of black hat.
Yeah, well, you got a black hat on, but we know you're a good guy. So anyway, back to your thoughts, and this is a very interesting part of your autobiography. You wrote, this is really an autobiography here. But anyway, you're saying that what needs to be accomplished for anyone must never be at the cost of another. Right. And so you say Robin Hood, whose story my father read aloud to me when I was very young. And I'm quoting what you say here. And not long before my father died, became my most influential early years mythical hero.
Robin Hood.
This meant that in my first life, and you put quotes on that, I had improvised methods in general to effect swift moral and romantic justice for those I found in trouble or danger. Foolishly self-confident, in my first life, I had often rushed thoughtlessly to assume responsibilities beyond my physical, monetary, or legal means to fulfill. This rashness led me into complex dilemmas. Like Xena, warrior princess, she has that problem too, just an aside. For in attempting to keep my assumption of responsibilities legal, I had inadvertently involved my unwitting family, dragging them into preposterous financial sacrifices. So then you were able to
see, by helping somebody else within the economic system, I'm draining my resources. So I can't just help one person because I just can't do enough, because the economic system is just so pervasive that one person
And
can't
insistent.
right. We need
It demands always, there's a cycle of
like
bill paying, taxation,
for instance, if you go ahead
traveling to your
and
natural
you give
resources, the
give
grocery
charity,
store.
if you give charity to somebody, let's say the United Fund, it's not going to change anything. The problem is the economic system. That's why we have to give charity. Now, the same
It's a
difference.
symptom, you're saying.
Yes, you got to fix the cause problem. Dennis may want to contribute to his church or go to different groups to help the system. But the problem is the system itself is corrupt. He can't go to enough meetings or enough groups to change
And
the
Robin
system.
Hood can't save enough people who
Right.
are in distress.
Right.
And you did resolve this in your second life, your new life, as you called it. And quote, you say, in my new life, I took away Robin Hood's longbow, staff, and checkbook, and gave him only scientific textbooks,
Right.
microscopes,
That's what the
calculating machines, transits, and industrialization's network of tooling.
Right.
In general, I made him substitute new, inanimate
Right.
forms for animate reforms. I did not allow Robin any public relations professionals or managers or agents to promote or sell him. It seemed obvious that if the new tools that the new Robin Hood developed could provide valid human advantaging increases, they would inevitably be adopted by society during the successive, inexorable economic emergencies, which dictate the proper rate of regenerative gestations of evolution. So you're saying, unquote, that our economic emergencies are forcing us to use better technologies better. You're saying that it's like you're getting slapped upside the head. You're saying, okay, look, you're going in the wrong direction. Every time we have bank failures, have people crushed by debt, nations crushed by debt, and populations being forced out of their countries as refugees. These are all the punishments that are trying to force us in another direction. And you say that it will work because it's a form of evolution, because we got to have those technologies ready. And
that's exactly what Bucky said too. I mean, Tesla said.
Right.
He was using velocity, and he set up an actual measurement for that.
Well, an equation.
An equation, and I'm saying, and I use kilowatt hours, and you guys are using energy units, and you're saying human energy units based on energy numbers, calories or watts or whatever energy units you want. And once you get to that can't be manipulated, you can stop killing people. That'll give you an agreement, an agreed upon start point.
Agreed upon measure.
For where we are in the economic world.
Which can be applied to the economics. And that needs to be the basis.
And then the bombs stop dropping on Dennis's house. And the bomb stops dropping on your community.
And they stop dropping on Syria, right?
Right. So now this is where we have to get to. We need an agreed upon start point for all of humanity.
See, what happens when they are destabilizing, as Russia and the United States are doing right now, they're destabilizing a huge country, Syria. And by and what they do, the first people to leave are the people that actually can afford to leave. And they are usually the ones that have been the most educated or have the potential to be the most educated in their country. And they're leaving, and that's what the good cop, bad cop, they want the intellectuals to leave. They want the educated people. They want the people with any potential to recover with their finances. They want them out of there. Anyone that can challenge right away their power or their intentions, which are to control that country. That country is essential.
And the way they use power and control
that territory
is they think they put in voting machines, and they put in people who are going to control the system for the very wealthy. And it doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans. The illusion is that they're going to do something, and then they mess around with the voting machines that Dennis talked about. But it really wouldn't matter whether they had voting machines or paper ballots or who got into office. It's still going to control the basic people. And once they control it through the economic system. That's how you're controlled. And then if you don't, and when the economic system gets bad and you want to rebel, they shoot you. So bottom line is you need to change the economic system itself. You need a measurement that can't be manipulated by a voting machine or by a politician or by laws. You have to go by natural law or nature's law, not human law. Does that make sense to you, Dennis?
Oh, yes, Jeff. Did you get an email from me last night? I sent an email about Canada.
Yes,
And
we did get
reminds me of
that.
what you were talking about just now, because our country might not be the best in this world. There are 200 countries in this world, roughly. And right north of us is a country called Canada. And it says here that Canada, which is more economically and demographically similar to the U.S., but offers better health care, unemployment benefits, and job retraining opportunities.
Okay,
So,
but why?
yeah.
Well, the reason for that is they have a less population,
A huge
they have more natural
resource.
resources, but they're still controlled by the economic system that's worldwide.
And
There's
they,
no, how much is a human being worth in Canada compared to a human being worth in the United States? What's the difference?
and they benefit greatly from
I want
their,
to know Dennis's answer. What's how much is a human being worth there compared to a human being worth here?
Don't you think they have more of their minimum, their requirements than they do in this country?
Not necessarily.
All right.
they're
I'll have
benefiting.
to ask my friend.
No, but what's a human being worth is the answer. How much should a human being have in that country compared to this country? How much should a human being gain? How much should a human being have? What's their basic needs?
That's interesting. Did they do a bad job in Europe and around the world after World War I and World War II?
What was the basic? What?
Socialism.
Yes,
What-
answer the question. What's the basic needs of a human being? What every human being needs? What does every human being need?
Food, shelter.
How much food?
Education.
How much food?
Enough to survive.
How much is that?
Well, more than an ounce a day.
How much is that?
Well, you have,
Well, I'll have to ask Bucky. I mean, at least I'd say 10 ounces. Let's say a pound.
Well, it's in energy units. How much is that?
In energy units,
Yeah, how many calories?
Bucky, can you answer that?
1,500 to 2,000 calories a day to survive. The
Thank you,
same
Bucky.
thing holds true with water.
million.
No, a day.
Oh,
Now you can times that out by 365 days, and it roughly adds to about 1 million calories a day of energy units from the sun
no, in a year.
a year,
Correct.
and 1 million calories of energy units of water from the sun. And then for a shelter, depending upon where you live, that could be also decided in energy units, kilowatt hours, or horsepower, or any other units you want, but you can, it's always exactly the same. So if we can agree upon that, which you do agree upon, because you know you can't live on 1 ounce, or let's say 20 calories of food a day, which is about 1 ounce. You can't do that. So you'll die. So now we agreed upon it. Now we just have to get that measurement out. Every country and every person agrees that all basic needs must be met. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's why I was asking you, did we do the wrong thing in World War I and World War II to send our troops across the ocean just because other countries wanted to have minimum requirements, just like you're talking about,
But we sent them over there. We sent them over there to control the economic system. That's why we sent them over there. The same thing that happened in the Balkan Wars. The same thing that happened with the kings fighting against kings, kingdoms to kingdom. It was controlling the economic system. So all humanity is controlled by the economic system. So you had slavery, because slavery was energy units. Human energy was slaves. That's what slavery is. It gives the kings the ability to take our energy and give them a better quality of life while it takes away our quality of life.
Wow. We've got to be very careful, because after World War II, there was something invented. It was called the atomic bomb. I mean, now Russia and the United States are the two at the top of the list having nuclear weapons.
So why?
We cannot have a World War III. Go ahead.
Why? The difference is, if we don't fix all humanity, whether it's one person dying or a whole civilization falling apart, it really doesn't matter to the one person who's being killed, does it?
Well, I'm not going to agree right now with you.
Well, if you're the one person dying, you're not going to notice the rest of the world population dying. And if it's your child or your mother and father are going to die. We know that. That's part of nature. But if we bomb them, that's not good. Or if we shoot them with a gun, that's not good. Or we poison them with bad water, that's not good. So it doesn't really matter how they die or the whole population dies. We need to benefit all of humanity, not just one.
Well, let me ask you, if there are 200 countries in this world, which countries do you think might be doing the best?
There is no such thing as the best. They're all being affected by the economic system, whether it's Canada or Cuba or Indonesia or Philippines or the United States. They're all affected by our economic system, which is controlled by the top 1% of the world population.
That's interesting. So even if the country across the ocean, like Canada, like in China or in Russia, you're saying that that's controlled by our economic system?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's interesting.
Worldwide economics. World Bank. You've heard of the World Bank, right?
Right.
Everybody in the world is connected to the World Bank, which is controlled by local banks, which is controlled by state and county and country banks. The world economic system controls all the world money, and that's what controls their population.
Well, let me ask you, Bucky, and I don't want your hat to drop off, but I just want to ask you, so that in, let's say, over in Russia, that they actually may have been trying to do better work, or even in China or Cuba. Some countries in this world might have been trying to do better work. That's why I mentioned Canada, because aren't they trying to help the middle class?
Yes, but they're losing. They lose every time because the economic system is taking away. They used to have better vacations than they do now, but the world economic system is taking that from them. They used to have better health care, but the world economic system is taking that away. That 1% that you're talking about is controlling all of the rest of the world population. It doesn't matter what country it is. Some of them seem to do better, but they're going to lose because people are dying around the world. Look what happened in Rwanda. To get the cobalt, the big guys, the 1%, the United States and France and the Western world, set up the one group of people, and they made a religious war out of it so we can get their cobalt for our batteries for our computers and our cell phones. And there was a big money change. But they blamed it on religion. It wasn't religion. It was, in fact, the economics. So we killed people there, too. And we've been killing people for 5,000 years because of the economic system.
But I want to ask you, Bucky, aren't there some countries in this world that are at least talking about doesn't have to be Russia. It could, or
Let's
China.
go back to the Roman Empire. They wanted to make sure they had good, clean water for all their people. Did you know that?
Right. Yeah.
So what they did is they said they took the slaves, which were expendable, and they made the slaves build lead pipes. And the pipe, all the water went through the lead pipes, and the slaves would die from lead poisoning. Now, I'm going back several thousand years, right?
Well, yes, but let me just mention quickly, sometimes we don't know when we invent something and we don't understand that asbestos is harmful. We don't know until years later.
Well, we know now.
Actually, they did know that.
They knew then that they were killing, that they figured that slaves could die because they were expendable.
They knew that
But they didn't realize that that same water was going to kill the people throughout that whole civilization. And that could have been why the Roman Empire fell. The intent was good, but they were still killing people, the same slaves, the same way we use slavery here when we first started the country. The same way we're doing everything that kills people. We're killing Syria. It doesn't matter whether it's across the ocean. If you look at my book, you'll see I show a flat world. All things are connected together.
All the continents are
All the continents are connected together. Flat. First time in history I did that map. So you can see that we're all connected on this planet. We're all part of one. So when you kill one person, you're killing part of humanity.
Oh, Jesus. Were you killed by the Roman Empire? Because
No, but there were people. There were people
controlling Israel when you were crucified?
When Jesus was crucified, he was saying the same things we all said. Before Jesus, 3,000 years prior to Jesus, there is, what was his name, Aristotle?
Well, Aristotle, there was Socrates.
There was Socrates.
Right.
Socrates was saying this 5,000 years ago, that we have to do something to change the system. We got to stop killing people. Sir Thomas More was talking to the king and says, we gotta stop killing people. You gotta stop killing them because they stole a loaf of bread. That's the guy who wrote Utopia. Everybody has been saying it, but now for the first time, we can now figure out what the economic system should be based on energy units, like I did, like Tesla did, like Morton came up with, and that we're all talking about now. The HREM, Human Renewable Energy Measure.
Where can I go online to learn more about that?
HREM.org.
Good. Thank you.
Believe it or not, we gotta go out. Bucky, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Bucky.
Thank you, Bucky.
And thank you, Dennis.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you for saving our planet.
Oh boy, if that were only so.
Suddenly the price of oil goes up. Your neighbors overwork because they closed the factory. You try to stretch your paycheck, but it's never quite enough. Oh, energy, energy. It all comes down to energy. You wonder where the money's gone. Well, here's some fuel for thought. It all comes down to energy. Fossil fuel affects our lives like ripples on a lake. Cars and farms and factories and trucks. Supplies go down and prices soar, our futures are at stake. And when it's gone, it won't come back, and we'll be out of luck. Oh, energy, energy. It all comes down to energy. You wonder where the money's gone. Well, here's some fuel for thought. It all comes down to energy. We can get our energy from corn and grass and trees. Even the sun converts to biofuels. Break loose from the stranglehold of oil companies. Renewables can fuel the world. We're here to spread the news of energy, energy. It all comes down to energy. You wonder where the money's gone? Well, here's some fuel for thought. It all comes down to energy.
Thank you all.